Explosion Network podcast is never late, nor are they early. They arrive precisely when they're meant to. Welcome to the Lord of the Rings Extended, a Middle-earth podcast from explosionnetwork.com. Hello, welcome to the Lord of the Rings Extended. Our discussion of the Rings of Power continues this week with myself, John Blight, and Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here to talk about more Lord of the Rings.
This week we're talking about episode 4, The Great Wave, the description of which was Queen Regent Míriel's faith is tested. Isildur finds himself at crossroads. Elrond uncovers the secret. Arondir is given an ultimatum, and Theo disobeys Bronwyn. It was directed by Wayne Yip, written by Stephany, Fulsom, J.D. Payne, and Patrick McKay. What do you think of this week's episode, Ash?
Yeah, it was good. Like, the obviously segments I enjoyed more than other segments. All storylines I preferred over other storylines. Obviously, anything with Gladriel or Elrond and the duels were really enjoyable, but kind of all that, you know, the story of these men and old Theo disobeying orders, you know, less enthused about, but yeah, overall enjoyable. Very pretty still. Okay.
Very pretty show. Cannot complain about the way it looks at all.
Yeah.
But not very pretty, and like the costume is like just, yeah. All round very good looking show. Yeah, I quite enjoyed the episode as well. I think, yeah, I would agree, I guess. The human story stuff was the least interesting. However, that sequence with the kid
walking through sneaking quotation marks I'm using,
quote unquote sneaking through the village at night in that one shot sequence, I thought was quite good. So
this kid who's sneaking from all these orcs and is like, hey, I could probably do this while holding a bag of grain.
I don't know why he decided to take the grain, but
you know.
So that sequence was good, and then if you tee that up with what came afterwards, with Arondir, like the chase, him catching that arrow and then like teeing it up and firing it back was pretty badass. So
some cool elf shit.
Cool elf shit, yeah. With no Legolas, but you know he's not the only elf who can do good stuff. He was the
all elves can, apparently, the story. You know.
Yeah, all elves are just, you know, they're cool. They're cool people. But yeah, my favorite stuff this episode would definitely be the all the stuff with Elrond and the dwarves and stuff. Like, I think just their banter, like I actually laughed out loud at that part where, like, right at the end after Elrond gave that rather meaningful conversation, like to help, you know, about his dad and like looking up, and then, you know, like, don't forget all these chances you get with your father, or, you know, whatever he says and all that. And then the fact they just immediately just, was it Deezer says,
tell me,
like,
how did you guys meet?
Yeah, how did you meet again? And then they begin arguing over everything. But it was just like all the little details that was making me laugh. He's going out. He's like, I had a loud squeal. It sounded like I thought it was a small child or whatever. And he was like, it was my war scream. And then he's like, so I pulled out my arrow. And then he doesn't say he didn't come. He's like, it was a sword. It was a bow and arrow. No, it was a sword. Like all this. So I thought that was quite fun. So that whole sequence was really good. And even just the fact that he does, and we'll get into this next, I guess, since this is the major thing I think of the episode, but the fact he gives him that mithril, like I feel like was obviously quite a big moment for their friendship and stuff like that, which was cool to see. Very sweet moment. But yeah, I guess the mithril stuff was the
surprising thing.
Yeah, like the...
Or be the word that would have captured everybody's attention.
Most attention, yeah. So anyone who's watched the movies, of course, well, I presume would know what mithril is, since it is explained by Gandalf, and, you know, even Gandalf in the Fellowship of the Ring explains, you know, that no, like, it's dangerous to mine and no one dares mine further down here now, and, you know, it was worth more than gold, and, you know, like he says all these things that are sort of brought up. So I feel like given that we see how dangerous it is to mine where they are, and then his father, Durin's father, shuts it down and everything. But we know he's probably going to go back and eventually mine for more.
Yes.
Whether that's
we have to get a whole vest
or,
full. So
yeah, so you have to get a vest. One of the rings is forged with Mithril, so you have to get a sword. There's jewelry that we know of. I don't know how much other stuff there is. Maybe that's a Kieran thing if he was actually here, but couldn't be here this week. Yeah, so I feel like that was like the cool like shout out thing. And it feels weird to call it a shout out thing, but that was a cool like word drop this episode, I guess. Mithril. And even just the way he like says the original name, and then
you all knew you knew what it was before he even said it.
Yeah, you knew exactly what it was, but you were just waiting for him to say it. And in retrospect, the fact that none of us even considered that's what it could have been when that he opens that bloody Pulp Fiction briefcase in episode 1 or whatever.
Yeah, we thought it was like jewels or whatever.
Yeah. In retrospect, it's like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. So
yeah,
going back sort of thing. But yeah, so we'll see how that progresses. I don't think we'll get any more on that for a little while though, because I feel like it was a seed that was planted here, and we'll come back to it as a plot point, maybe even season down the road.
Yeah, that was an interesting arc of this episode, starting with like Disa like lying to Elrond. I totally believed her. I believed, everything she said. Like, it could have totally been true.
Good liar.
Okay.
Can't escape.
A solid relationship built on shared lies. You know what I mean?
But it can't escape Elrond perching on that bridge like he's Batman, just using his supersonic hearing. Like, whatever.
I thought he was reading. I thought he was reading
lip reading or something. Yeah, but it's just the fact he was like perched and the camera like comes in. Like,
yeah,
like dun dun dun. But talking about another thing that I thought was interesting, timeline with this episode. I don't feel like the show is like rushing through things, but it definitely is like it's like this episode could be months after the last, but it also doesn't really tell you. But at the same regard, I'm like, do we even need to know, really? You know what I mean? Like, so the big call out is the fact that we do get one scene with Elrond and what the fuck is his name?
Celebrimbor.
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 We get that one scene where obviously they're like, I don't know, halfway through building this fucking tower. And I mean, it may not be that long. The whole idea is obviously they combine forces. Dwarves can build really fucking well. So like, it's hard to, you're trying to like compute it in human man hours, but dwarven hours are probably a bit different, especially with elves who don't need to sleep, and you know what I mean. I don't know like that. But yeah, are you finding it annoying or any issue with like the way the show is like doing time or anything like that?
No, not really. I haven't had too many. I feel like it's still a very short, contained amount of period. Potentially, this Elrond storyline or this dwarven / elvish storyline could be taking place over a period that we don't know of, I guess.
Yeah, and I think I said this before, where it definitely could be like the storylines aren't all taking place at the same time, which is totally fine. Or you have one storyline that is running in a more actual time, and then one other stories is running at every time we see it, we jumped ahead like 6 months, and ultimately it doesn't matter as long as none of these people like cross paths, because then different storylines have to suddenly link up, sort of thing. But at the moment, it doesn't really matter.
I mean, it's like the first season of The Witcher. You didn't really realize there were separate timelines until
exactly. So
much later on, so it didn't matter.
So coming back to probably the least interesting storyline, which was the kid and everything like that. But what do you think of Addai after we actually see him? Like,
interesting, I guess. That he's clearly an elf, right?
That's what I'm saying, too.
And they're not calling him Sauron; they call him Daddy.
Well, they call him Father.
They call him Orc Daddy.
Yeah. They call him Father. He asked where what's his face is from. I said his name a minute ago. Arondir.
Yeah.
So he asked where he's from. Addai does. And then when he says that he used to, like, I don't know, he went there once or something. So to me, it very much sounds like he's he is actually an elf, but who's from there, but like he's turned bad or something. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what it, like, he hasn't gone there. Like, he hasn't come from Middle-earth and gone there. The only way any of that makes sense is if he was originally there and he's come to Middle-earth and now he's a bad guy.
Yeah,
I don't think he's Sauron.
No, I think he turned during the war. That would be my guess.
Oh.
He got corrupted or whatever, say.
Mm.
But yeah, intimidating.
They definitely try and make it out like he's Sauron a bit with the whole, what's his line? He says, I'm not a god yet, or, you know, like equivalent to that. So that was sort of, don't know. But then the other thing that ties into Sauron, another like teaser, is where the old mate comes and speaks to the kid right near the end of the episode, and you know, says he's a big old Sauron supporter. They show they pull back their they pull back their sleeves and show their dark marks or whatever the fuck they're doing. As you have a pop culture reference.
Don't know what it's from.
Don't know what it's from though. So yeah, but he says the thing that shot across the sky. Did you see it? Like, obviously referencing the meteor from episode 1.
To old Gandalf, yeah.
Yeah, to old Gandalf. And then implies that's either A, implying that is Sauron, or B, implying that is a sign that Sauron has returned, or like there is some connection there. So if old Gandalf isn't Sauron, then maybe there was 2 meteors and we're just following where one landed and Sauron was like another one, or I don't know, like what the fuck. Yeah, what'd you make of what that dude said?
I don't know. It kind of felt like an old man rambling. You know what I mean? Reading into things that don't necessarily correlate to anything, but okay. It's a matter of waiting and seeing. Obviously, he clearly used that hilt before because he's got the same mark. Of course, that's the thing that the orcs are looking for. Like I said, it would be.
Yeah, she was correct.
That's important to stipulate. So clearly, it does have something to do with Sauron, and clearly, you know, if that's involved with Sauron, the orcs are looking for the thing associated with Sauron. You know, all sort of coming together. I guess part of the major plan, I guess, for the Southlands, for the formation of Mordor. You'd have to assume.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're slowly taking it over, I guess. Like, that's the whole thing. By the way, just remember them. Someone last week I saw, like, was, because again, people are still complaining about the show and, you know, calling it woke and all this other shit. Or, like, not real Tolkien and stuff. I saw someone like tweet out from last week. They're like, a big plot point from this week's episode was elves crying over a tree because they have to destroy it. How is that the most Tolkien thing you've ever seen? And I was like, that's actually fair point. All these people are like, this show doesn't live up to his thing, but you've literally got elves crying over, like, getting upset they have to tear down a tree because it's like so old and, you know, part of history, and so it was funny.
Well, seeing as we're talking about things people talked about last episode, how we feel about the discussion around the wargs? The old warg mate. A bunch of people are saying it's bad CGI. I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it looked okay. I don't think it looked it's great.
Different design. I think, some of the movement.
Let me boil it down this way. That thing looks better than any of the orcs in the Hobbit films with a bigger budget. Tell me I'm wrong.
It's better than what's his face, the
main one?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Fucking plastic ass looking motherfuckers. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so that's how I'd rate that. That's how I'd rate them on this. Yeah. Old mate just looks terrible. Yeah, I have seen a few people complain about that, but and then the final storyline we got that I haven't really touched on is, of course, the Galadriel storyline continuation this week, which was more or less boiled down to her just still not making life easy for herself by just, you know, walking around.
Just rallying. Like, she's not a...
she's not a politician at all.
Yeah, she's not a politician. Just doesn't know how to bargain, how to negotiate, how to work. She would be terrible in Game of Thrones.
Yes.
She would be dead straight away.
She would be dead, 100%. She does not know how to play the Game of Thrones. She just literally marches around, says, "Can I have an army? You owe me, bitch, please." Now, oh shit, you locked me up for some reason. Which is pretty much the extent of this week's storyline, other than the whole town, city. What do you call it?
We had this the Chancellor dude.
Yeah, so you had the Chancellor dude sort of getting behind everyone, saying an elf would never touch the city or whatever the hell's going on there. There was a whole weird, like, slightly racist innuendo scene where the old mate who started the fight last week was like, "These elves are taking our jobs! Elves taking our jobs!" Like all that sort of.
One elf has come.
Yeah, one elf
take our jobs.
They're taking our jobs. So that was like I was like, they're like, "No more elves. These fuckers don't sleep."
They don't age. They live forever. They're going to take our jobs.
They're taking our jobs. So that was the whole thing, and then Chancellor comes in and saves them all. So that was the whole one storyline. Then on the other end, you got bloody Galadriel being like, "I'm trying to take your people."
I'm going to break into the king's bedroom.
Yeah, I'm so pissed off I didn't get to see it. They probably made a bad choice by not showing climbing up that tower. Yeah, but I was like, I still want to see it.
No, it's probably for the best. It'd be all this. Look at this woke, overpowered Mary Sue climbing up these windows, climbing up this tower. Unbelievable.
What a bullshit. So and then the other thing that's going on is obviously she gets I can't remember the name of the crystal ball things, but she gets like such a P.
Platior?
Something like that, yeah. Definitely starts with P. So she like gets shown this vision that the Queen Regent has about the end of the city, I guess, getting flooded. Or that's what it is, isn't it? Yeah, flooded. In Numenor, however you say it. What do you make of this like whole seeing the future thing, especially when she apparently the vision originally started with Galadriel's arrival, and then the second part that we see throughout the episode is the leaves throwing in or off the tree, the dying or whatever it is, and then the third part would like seemingly after that just straight up comes the flood. Like, do you reckon this is all bullshit, or especially by the end the fact that she changes her mind and says they're all going to leave, or like a bunch of them are going to leave anyway?
I don't know. I don't know how much myth or prophecy is a thing in Lord of the Rings in Middle Earth. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they are. Like, myth and legend is a big part of Lord of the Rings, right?
No, but it's not like a prophecy was made that will definitely come true. Everything is fated to happen. Things are destined to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if destiny is a big part of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know either, but I don't think
out of the 6 movies that we've watched, none of it screamed that destiny was a massive part of that world. Other than, I guess, the king will return, maybe.
Yeah, the return of the king.
They put a lot of faith into returning kings.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe
I think it's going to be a massive draw cut.
Mm. And it is.
It's an instant win. Yeah.
It's an instant win. So, yeah, can see how that, I guess, goes next week.
But yeah. Again, cool visuals of the massive wave taking out the entire city. Yeah. And then, obviously, it ends on the beautiful shot of that, all the petals going off that tree. Which changes everybody's mind.
Another quick shout out before we head towards wrapping up. I think one of the beautiful scenes as well was the song that I keep forgetting. I'll say someone's character's name. Disa, that's it. Yeah, I say a character's name and I forget it like 5 minutes later. Disa sings that whole like song where she's singing to the rocks and all the rocks begin moving and stuff like that. I thought that was quite. Yeah.
I thought that was like a hint as to like how they could get the mithril out of the ground.
Mm.
Let's just sing this mithril out. Let's not mine it.
Yeah.
It's like, Mithril, come out of the ground, please.
Jump into our buckets.
We'll make good use of you.
We won't do anything melting. What? I didn't say melting. I meant loving. Smelting. Oh, he smelt it, dealt it. Yeah.
Also, I found the Isildur storyline kind of interesting, of him again wanting to go west for whatever reason. Kind of hinted at, but he purposely flunks out of like the ship test. But then the leader dude gets rid of all three of them. That doesn't seem very fair.
It doesn't seem fair after. I
don't know why. It just seemed pretty random to say, "Hey, all three of you are gone."
He's just sick of head up to here with that shit. Yeah?
Yes.
Just over it. Worked out though.
Yeah, because they're all going.
Now they're all going to the
to
middle.
help the queen.
Yep. She got her army. That's everything. Galadriel wanted an army. She said she's working on it. Problem solved. Got him.
Certainly is.
Anything else for this week? Wrap up.
No, I think again, we leave in kind of an interesting place. So I guess where that fort or the watchtower is probably going to be attacked next week. You assume. Pretty bold of them to let him go and let him take a bow and arrow. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if he took that or he got it on the ways.
It's okay, you can have this. I
highly doubt they would have given him a weapon. I feel like he would have just found that
I guess.
got it off someone else. It's like he could very easily sneak up and kill an orc and take that. So
that's true.
I feel like that's fine. All right. I'll do it for this week's episode of Lord of the Rings Extended, the middle of the podcast. Our discussion on the Rings of Power, of course, will continue next week. Until then, if you are watching House of the Dragon, make sure you head on over to our podcast, South of King's Landing. Hear our discussion about that each and every Tuesday by the time those episodes drop. And make sure you head on over to our new Mobcast. We're talking about She-Hulk over there at the moment. And then head on over to Holocron Entries, where our discussion of Andor will be starting next this coming Wednesday. So that'll be good as well. And then for all other things, movie, TV, media related, what do you want to watch? Our podcast, the place to be. Until next episode, goodbye.